What JPMorgan recently shared in their latest report will shock you, as they have not only mentioned Ripple as a heavyweight in the global blockchain technology business, but how they also aim to integrate ISO20022 messaging standard for global money transfers and remittances by 2025. And this may very well be the key for true global integration for crypto and potentially even the XRP ledger, as the technology is not only used for CBDCs, tokenized assets, or real world assets, but true instantaneous settlement. And as major banks like JPMorgan adopt the ISO 20022 standard by 2025, it will be easier for banks to move digital assets alongside SWIFT settlements. Now, maybe this sounds a tad confusing. I understand. We're not blockchain engineers or bank coders and engineers. So let me make this simpler. JPMorgan, the largest bank in the United States, currently managing $4.1 trillion in assets, is extremely bullish on digital assets for a broad range of use cases. In their latest report, they say they're committed to updating their money moving technology, which will likely integrate or partner with Ripple to solve many of those problems. This is bullish, right? Nothing moves on the XRPL without using the XRP token. And that was stated directly from the CTO of Ripple. So this would be extremely beneficial for the price of XRP. Also, in this video, we'll be covering some breaking news surrounding how major banks like JPMorgan, Wells Fargo, Citi will be using Visa and Mastercard and their payment rails to fast track institutional adoption beyond just ETFs. We'll be talking about the new XRP ETF filing and what Brad Garlinghouse recently shared and what this means for the future of your XRP bags. So if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul if you're new here, and this breaking news is quite exciting because JPMorgan is such a large player. I do believe a lot of banks are going to follow suit, as JPMorgan has noted in this report that they are investing in ISO 20022 as the 2025 migration deadline approaches. Now, what is ISO 20022? We're going to explain here in a second, but basically they state in this piece from that report that payments are the backbones of today's economy and that the financial services industry is embarking on a multi-year effort to evolve. Or basically another way to put it is to modernize the way we exchange and process payments data. Another way to put it is that this is payments infrastructure for communication across the world. And although you can go to the ISO20022.org website, it doesn't really explain it too well. You have to download their ISO 20022 for Dummies. So the best way I actually researched it and made sure that we had the proper information for you was I went ahead and went to ChatGPT and asked it to give me a very simplified version for the average person or people like me and you. And at the end of the day, ISO 20022 is a global standard for financial messaging, meaning it's a system for banks and financial institutions to send and receive information about payments and transactions in a way that is consistent and standardized across the world. In other words, think of this as a universal language for banks. ISO 20022 messages carry more detailed information in a structured format, right? It's far more consistent with this XML format. You can send domestic and international payments, which will work together seamlessly, which we've had a very fractionalized world when it comes to payments, which is why the whole global system has worked well in certain parts, but not in others. But what if we could all communicate in terms of money, just like, everyone spoke the same language? And as financial transactions get more complex, this system provides a scalable foundation that banks and financial institutions can build on. In other words, the key word is scalable. In other words, for many banks already, ISO 20022 is the global standard, and now JPMorgan is going to be doing the exact same thing and modernizing their infrastructure into 2025. Now, how does this matter for XRP or even just crypto? Well, JPMorgan is over here now predicting that tokenized treasuries or real-world assets could soon replace stablecoin cash reserves. Now, here's the man Jamie Dimon, who is the CEO of JPMorgan Chase. And it's interesting that even back in 2023, he seemed to be very negative towards crypto and anything that had to do with blockchain technology, as Jamie Dimon blasted crypto and told the Senate he would close it down, even as JPMorgan pushed forward with blockchain payments. Really interesting how they had a complete turnaround, or a 180-degree turn. In other words, when people like this start to share certain things, sometimes it's worth noting that they might want to be positioning themselves in a market where they're trying to tell everyone be fearful so they can be greedy. And once they're positioned, then they get out and be all positive about it, and then everyone starts to get in after them. Lucky for people like me and you, if you've been around the channel for a while or have held XRP for a while, you've probably been positioned before them. And what's so exciting is that in a recent post directly from JPMorgan, they even straight up said, we are bullish on digital assets in 2025. And that's because of the debasement trade and all the risk from a global standpoint involving currencies and governments and endless amounts of inflation and even risks of future wars. And so imagine they're bullish on digital assets or blockchain technology, and who better in the entire industry than the team behind XRP over at Ripple, as JPMorgan even considered Ripple a heavyweight in the age of CBDCs. And here is the image where they mention a few other key leaders. However, Ripple was mentioned as a major competitor that will provide technology for the entire world to modernize their global infrastructure at a financial level. Now, here is where this whole thing ties together. There's a post from a gentleman by the name of Anders who says, if you think ISO 20022 is a nothing burger, read below from the regulated liability white paper. That's something that I would like for you to do research into if you're more interested. It's a large piece of the puzzle. However, instant settlement is completely another. And so ISO 20022 isn't always taking care of instant settlement in the same way blockchain technology would. In other words, what he's saying is that this standard of global remittances and XRPL can work together. And how he states it is this. So SWIFT is moving to ISO 20022, and now obviously JPMorgan is as well, is absolutely crucial for digital assets being able to move instantaneously alongside SWIFT messages. What the architects of XRPL created, along with their work with XRPL at Ripple, it is not just a global solution for instant settlement of various assets, but also a solution to thicken liquidity of the assets. One of the big issues around crypto over the last, decade has been the fact that it's been very thin liquidity, which is why it's so volatile when things are traded, right? If you want major institutions to play in the same game, they simply won't until it has a thick enough liquidity. And that's exactly what XRPL and Ripple can do for these major players. So it's both a solution for instant settlement as well as against fragmented liquidity, especially in a world of 352 different USD stablecoins, tokenized assets, CBDCs, and a huge amount of crypto assets. In other words, ISO 20022 is great for message flowing. However, it's missing a piece of the puzzle, and that is a global solution for settlement. In other words, JPMorgan is extremely bullish on digital assets. They consider Ripple technology a heavyweight. And now they're integrating ISO 20022 messaging, which will likely require something like XRPL to perform the instantaneous settlements for their global remittances. So it's no wonder companies or banks like JPMorgan would now be bullish on digital assets and then want institutional adoption at a mass scale. But they're not the only ones. We now have Wells Fargo, Citi, even Visa and Mastercard as the payments rails working to make mass institutional adoption a reality. And that's aside from ETFs. And in this article, they're basically stating that we are now at the 5-yard line for mass institutional adoption, as all of these major players are working on a unified ledger where they probably integrate the ISO20022 messaging standard and then use some form of Ripple technology on the back end. Now, that's conjecture. There is a bit of guesswork there, but a lot of people in this community believe that Ripple technology will be integrated. Why? Because JPMorgan has actually mentioned it multiple times. However, JPMorgan, Citi, US Bank, and even Wells Fargo are among the banks that will test the common settlement of tokenized assets on a shared ledger technology called the Regulated Settlement Network, with payment giants Visa and Mastercard as a global financial messaging service. Now, what's so beautiful is that banks are one thing. However, when you now have Swift, Visa, and Mastercard all on board, these companies have been directly responsible for moving quadrillions of dollars and have been the largest players in the entire payments infrastructure of the world over the last couple of decades, which means they could also run monopolies and take advantage of people. Now, this resulted in a class action lawsuit at a major scale. This is actually the largest of its kind in history, where they had to distribute $5.5 billion between Visa and Mastercard. Now, that's a whole lot of cheddar, and the reason is because this lawsuit began back in 2005, and it was initiated by merchants or business owners who claimed that Visa and Mastercard, along with other banks, colluded to set fees and rules for credit card transactions that were anti-competitive and violated antitrust laws. However, when you are as big and powerful as Mastercard and Visa, you have lawyers up the yin-yang, and it takes a very long time to get anything done. Well, just last year, the class action claim forms were sent to about 18.6 million merchants or business owners through the years of 2004 to 2019. In other words, if you were in business between 2004 to 2019 at all, and you made any amount of money, even if your business went bankrupt or you are no longer operating that business, you can actually take advantage of this class action lawsuit and get free cash that you didn't know you had. And this is over the period of 15 years. In other words, if anyone processed either a Visa card or a MasterCard, then the merchant or you yourself overpaid on fees because they were colluding, and they overcharged merchants by exacting excessive interchange fees. Now, this is insane because a lot of business owners are getting real money back. And here's one of the lawyers that was actually on this case. Let's listen to what he says.
I am a co-lead counsel in the payment card settlement. That means that I represent the class. So I'm doing this as part of my job appointed by the court to help get the word out to merchants who are part of the settlement, to tell them that, hey, this is legitimate and this is how you can take advantage of what is yours. So first of all, what is this case about? Well, it was an antitrust case, but it's a class action, meaning that it's one lawsuit brought on behalf of everyone who meets a certain definition. And in this case, the definition is right here. It's all persons, businesses, and other entities that have accepted Visa-branded cards, that's credit and debit, or MasterCard cards, also credit and debit, from the beginning of 2004 to just barely at the beginning of 2019. So it's a long class period. We fought this case for 19 years. Literally the first month that I practiced law, I worked on this case, and I'm still working on it now. So that might tell you something. But but here's what's in it for you, so to speak. We have a $5.5 billion settlement fund. That's the largest in the history of the antitrust laws, which go all the way back to 1890. And that allows merchants like you to make claims against the fund. Now, the amount you get is on a pro rata basis, and I'll explain how that works. Now, unlike some other class actions, you may have been a part of these with your business or your personal life. Sometimes you just get a check in the mail. You don't know where it's from. That's not this, okay? In this case, you actually have to go in and file a claim in order to recover.
So yes, this was the largest of its kind. And yes, if you were a business owner during those years or that period of time, then you actually have to file a claim. You're not just going to get a check in the mail. It's, however, very, very easy. And I'll explain how to do it in a second. However, you probably saw at the very bottom how the deadline already passed. Well, consistently, not enough people were actually filing the claim. And the judges were like, well, this isn't fair at all. So we're going to continue to extend the deadline. And now the new deadline is February 4th of 2025 because not enough people have actually claimed their money. Now that said, just so you can see it's actually real, and we have business owners that are currently claiming free money from this class action lawsuit between Visa and Mastercard, I'm going to go ahead and log into our database. From here, I'm going to click on clients. And right here, you can see that we actually have clients and the numbers where, one person did $2.6 million in gross credit card revenue or volume, and they're going to get $39,000 back. Another person, 1.1 million, they're getting $18,000 back. Here, 3.3 million, $64,000. And finally, we have $50,000 for a $3 million credit card gross volume. Now, I didn't want to do all of the extra hard work of constantly moving out the blur throughout that entire area because I don't want to share people's private personal information, but we did screenshot and blur information, and these are other clients and what they got back. One person didn't do as much as the others, right? But they still did $139,000 and they got $1,300 back. Another person, $21,000 back. We have $1.1 million back because this business did $64 million. Now, how do you go about claiming or filing before the deadline? Again, if you were in business between 2004 to 2019, well, we made this extremely simple for you. Just click on the link below. You can find that in the bio or the description, or even in the very first pinned comment. Make sure it's the pinned comment directly from the Bull Runners. You just fill out this form. It shouldn't take more than a few minutes. And I'm not kidding. It is very quick and easy because they just look up your information through the taxes that you paid and how much revenue that you earned. Then this white glove service works on a contingency basis, which means you don't pay a dime unless they actually recover compensation for you. So it's completely free to fill out that form. Now, the biggest or the easiest reason to want to use a white glove service like this is because they do this often and they're really good at finding extra revenue or figuring out how to get you more compensation based on the total volume of business that you did between 2004 to 2019. So one last time, go down to the link in the description below, then fill out this form really quickly, because even if you didn't, or you're currently not in business, but if you didn't do that much business, you could still get some money back. It's better to get some money than no money at all. So click on the link below to file your claim now. Now for the final piece of news in this video, as Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO, recently shared something really fun and interesting. However, another major money manager and player, 21 Shares, just filed their S1 form for an XRP ETF. So now that adds them to the list of Bitwise, Canary, 21 Shares, and Grayscale. Now, what this says about XRP is the fact that all of these major players wouldn't go through the hard work of filing this S1 form with the SEC unless, of course, their institutional investors and accredited investors were coming to them demanding to buy XRP in a regulated manner through those funds. So this is a statement from Brad Garlinghouse that the message from the market is clear, and the SEC's war on crypto has lost battle after battle. Their continued disregard for the court's authority will further erode the SEC's credibility and reputation. What he's really saying is this, ready? XRP is extremely likely to get an ETF, especially when you have players like this filing these S1 forms. There's more S1 forms filed now for XRP than Solana. So I believe one of two things is going to happen. Either Solana is going to get an ETF or XRP is going to get an ETF. But one of them is going to come first at the beginning of this next year, potentially first quarter of 2025. But one thing is inevitable. They are both eventually going to get an ETF. So this is really exciting news for XRP, as not only will their technology be integrated at a global financial scale, but investors will now be able to buy it in a regulated manner through these funds. Talk about mass institutional adoption. Now, normally I dive into the price action on XRP. However, since yesterday, it really hasn't moved that much. So we're going to go ahead and end this video and we'll cover it in the next video. However, while you're at it, if you haven't already filed your claim, go ahead and do that. And also go to bullrunners.com to get access to our early bird list, which closes in 8 days. Now, if you're not on that early bird list, you won't get access to some of these bonuses. So it's extremely important and time sensitive that you do it if you want access to our exclusive altcoin picks, our market analysis, which is going to be private for that community, and then even to access our crypto education platform, which we've worked really hard on and partnered with some key players in the entire crypto and blockchain space. So you can find that link in the description as well below. Go to bullrunners.com. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.